Hi, I'm Paul Pugliese with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Today we're going to take a look at a maple tree in a front yard of a client that actually called me about 6 to 8 months ago complaining that some of the branches in the tree canopy were starting to die out. And so when I got here, I took a look at the tree and noticed that there were some cracks and splits in the bark of the tree that were becoming very obvious. And I realized that this was actually something that I started seeing on a lot of maple trees over the past year, and I've been getting a lot of calls about in the past year. What actually happened to this tree? It's a maple tree. It actually has cold damage, believe it or not. Most people don't think that maple trees would be having any problems with our winter dormancy here, because they can live all the way up into Canada. The problem is not so much the low temperature to any extent. It's the change in temperature and how quickly that occurred. And maple trees sometimes take a little bit longer to acclimate and get completely dormant because of all the sap that they have to move down into that root system. So if they're not fully dormant, that temperature change, that rapid temperature change, can cause some problems with bark splitting and cracking, where that cambium layer, those cells that are right underneath that bark tissue, will actually start to break apart from the cold damage. The other issue that we see too is trees that are planted out in the open, especially that have more of a southern or western exposure on one side of the tree. That side of the tree is going to warm up a lot faster than the other side of the tree. And so that temperature change, that rapid temperature change, especially in the wintertime or even in the summertime, we can see bark splitting and sun scald and other issues, especially on that southern and western side of that tree. Trees that are planted along roadsides tend to be much more susceptible to that because of the temperature differences in the pavement along that roadside. So again, it's all about placement of that tree that's going to make it more susceptible to this type of sun scald and winter damage. Something else to think about is, once this type of damage occurs to a tree, once those bark cracks and splits start to form, there is no treatment for that. We can't fix that problem after the fact. So it's all about prevention. Again, going back to where we place that tree to start with, how we prune it, how we take care of it, making sure that it's not drought stressed, having a good mulch island around that tree. All those things are going to help keep that tree stress-free. But the number one thing I would want to emphasize is placement. Think about where we plant maple trees. They're more of an understory type tree, or a tree that should be planted more on the edge of a forest. That's where they naturally occur and they're better adapted to those situations. One other tip I'll mention too is when we fertilize these trees, if you fertilize them, don't ever fertilize them late in the fall. Because again, you're going to have a lot more rapid growth in that tree going into winter dormancy, and that's not good when it's trying to shut down and really needs to be going to sleep for the winter time. So if you have any other questions about your maple trees or trees in general, we encourage you to reach out to an arborist for assistance with treating trees and proper pruning techniques and that sort of thing. So one way you can locate an arborist is to go to the ISA Certified Arborist directory online at treesaregood.com. And if you have any other questions, reach out to your local county extension office at 1-800-ASK-UGA1 and continue to follow us on the Georgia Farm Monitor.